Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 54 of the build guide 2. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for the support last time. You guys really enjoyed, well, for the most part anyway. The Mirai did prove to be divisive, but overwhelmingly so. I think people enjoyed it. There was a few two church propaganda people in there as well, saying it wasn't quite right, but I'm pretty happy with it overall. And today, you guys have been asking for this one for a very, very long time, so we're finally going to tick it off the list today. We're going to do a zoo, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm thinking this sort of cliff face here, just next to the highway with this forest, opposite Wingfour Hills, is going to be a really good opportunity to build a little out-of-town zoo as we continue to develop this area of the map over here. It should be a lot of fun. Build our vanilla zoo, finally, in the build guide, shall we? So we have this little road here that actually snakes up from the Wingfour Hills interchange a little bit further down the highway, so I think this is going to be a pretty good place to add in our zoo entrance. And we'll start with a classic roundabout, I think. Always goes a long way, doesn't it? So let's do a little 5 deep number here and take out that central reservation bit. And now we'll form the entrance to our zoo. So I guess it'd be fun to have buses coming up here actually. So let's go with the large avenue with grass first of all. I think it'd be kind of cool here if we added a little sort of curve entrance in. Bring this straight across. And then we'll have it come up. Kind of want to centralize it within the main landmass here, you know, so it sort of sits centrally in the cliff. So I reckon probably about there is a good barometer for that, right? So let's have this run, and then we'll change that to a curve there, and we can formulate our entrance off the back of this. I'd quite like buses coming up here because we've got the new bus terminal down here now, haven't we? So we'll factor in a bus turnaround point somewhere, but I would like some car parking to sit at the front, of course, one of our major zoo attractions. So let's go ahead and grab parking if I can remember where it is. There we go. We'll have that in there. Now, can we double this up? It's going to be quite a large zoo, I think, so I'd like a sufficient amount of parking at least. And I guess we could hold a little bit more on this angle as well, couldn't we? So let's have 2 more in there. Cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm after. So we'll have our car parking right up at the front, and then our buses can carry on past that, and then we'll get our zoo main gate placed down, which hopefully, if the game likes us, it's going to centralize. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so we want zoo main gate, that one. So let's see if we can do something fun with that entrance here. Let's bring up some initial frames. This is 360. It'd be cool here now if we could split the bus pedestrian road, or the bus onto a pedestrian road, I guess, and use this as something of a turnaround point. And then let's bring in another road here just opposite. And then hopefully we can put our... So if we draw in this line first, that's not aligned with the current grid, then I can actually get it centralized, I believe, within the main frame. There we go. That's really helpful for that, I think, you know. Centralization with stuff like this always goes a long way, doesn't it? So we are no longer allowed to use palms in Orchid Bay. We have been warned away from them, so why don't we go for a touch of the old faithful silver birch? That'd be quite nice here, won't it? Have this actually run all the way down the zoo road as well. And now we can have these as our bus turnaround points. So let's go ahead and get one of those buses running. And hopefully we'll just see as the episode goes on, it's just going to trickle more people up to the zoo for us. So we'll start the line from here. It can come... to be honest, it can just make a quick shuttle run up to the zoo, can't it? So let's go for here. And then back. There's not a massively exciting bus line. But we will, of course, continue our naming convention of naming this one. So bus line 32. Let's make this the little shuttle bus, minibus thing. There we go. And this is the MMS complex to the to-be-named zoo. Fabulous. Cool. So hopefully that will just trickle people up throughout the episode. But pretty impressive zoo so far, isn't it? I definitely want to respect this big centralization we've got going on. So let's come into our zoo path and we'll start bringing out some frames here. Snap to angle and road length as well while we're doing part roads. Or part paths rather. And see what we have to play with. So we've not got that much unlocked yet really with the zoo stuff. We haven't really used it that much, and I always like putting I think it's this one here actually, the amphibian and reptile house right at the centre, because it looks more like a main building than the actual zoo building itself. So we'll wait for that and kind of leave this immediate space open. Let's just go ahead and draw some frames to match it, and then we'll start piecing together some of the enclosures that we do have already. I think we haven't had a named viewer build for a while, have we? So please do get some name suggestions down below for the Green Zoo Botanical Garden that you guys can name this one. So this is one of the enclosures that already has paths around it, isn't it? Yeah, the moose and reindeer one. Which is fine, I don't mind integrating these, but we definitely just want to line them up with where they're eventually going to go. So let's just sort of eye up those pathways with the bottom of the asset frame, I guess. That looks like it's going to be pretty sensible for me. We'll grab those zoo pathways. Absolutely fabulous. Could I get away with a zoo pathway that spans over the highway to Wingfour Hills? It's just that's a big elevated zoo path, I don't know. We might have to experiment with that during the detailing time-lapse at some point today. But we'll wait and see what happens. Cool, so this is fabulous, isn't it? We've got some moose and reindeer in here. Right, there we go. There is something so wholesome, isn't there, about an untextured moose? Quite traumatizing as well at the same time. I think there's a few things that can achieve both wholesomeness and trauma at the same time, and untextured moose being one of them. Anyway, I digress. Let's add some birds in as well. And I think the birds would appreciate a little cliffside spot, would they not? So let's bring in some more frames over this way. And I'd like to see if we can possibly place this in near some of the trees over here. Kind of use this as an edge of zoo enclosure. Make sure we're nice and wide here as well. I want it to look like a proper park rather than just being sort of a cluster of animal enclosures on the side of a hill. And we also have the antelope enclosure as well, so let's partner these near to their brethren, the reindeer and moose. I guess the northern hemisphere cousins of an antelope, maybe? That's really gonna trigger some zoologist in the comments somewhere, isn't it? So we'll have antelopes just next door. Tremendous. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm really looking forward actually to building a modded zoo in Thessia. It's going to almost be like playing Planet Zoo with the mods in cities, isn't it? But this is pretty cute. I know there's not a vast amount more we can actually place until that now, so we just need to... we've smashed through the entertainment level. In order to get some visitors to the park, we will bring the ticket price right down, and we'll also make this a main park as well. And we want to do the animal ethics. Yeah, boost the entertainment effects of the buildings. Let's go for that one. And hopefully we'll be seeing some people on the bus station now. There's a few arriving, isn't there? That's not too bad. How many tiles do we have to play with out front? We do have... So I think we'll put some zoo plazas out the front. Let's get these right in the corner. And then we can save those spaces within the middle for some souvenir shop detailing. We can have a souvenir shop by the bus station. I think a restroom would also be appreciated as well there, wouldn't it? And don't forget as well, you can mix and match assets from other park life areas here. So don't think you just have to stay in, you know, if you fancy maybe the aesthetic of a zoo cafe in here. If you can get one to fit, of course, then it will go in a zoo area, it doesn't matter. Or a zoo toilet, or a regular toilet as well. And I think an info booth actually from the park life areas themselves would probably go quite nicely here as well. Get some little pathways as well. Up toward the top there too. Keep people walking. Especially over this way as well. You could actually, because we now have the asset placed, it is now always going to be centralized. So we could actually delete that road. And then instead do a little bit of trickery with the roads so we can have some pedestrian crossings directly out the front. Let's go for 240 either side. Bring that one up there, and then can we get the median? There we go. That'll give us a couple of pedestrian crossings. That's going to be super helpful. Get people to walk back into and actually getting into the zoo. And there we go, there's the first visitor. Absolutely fantastic. A lone child. Is the first in, Kathleen Morgan. Welcome in. Let's go and see the antelopes. Cool. So, we'll wait for our park value to tick over. Won't be too long now here. First 6 visitors in. Just a waiting game, and then we can play some more enclosures here. And success! We have hit level 2 zoo, which now gives us the bison enclosure. So I guess we'll keep our four-legged mammal exhibits over this side while we have them. So let's grab some zoos, or zoo paths here. Get this down. And this is another enclosure with the paths already around it, isn't it? The bison one. Yeah, real thick Chungus number. It does actually have the elevated zoo path, doesn't it? Which is always a firm favourite with me. Okay. It'd be cool if we could get this to kind of look out over the view as well that these guys will have once I shave off a little bit of the forest at the top. There's still a little bit of forest to be on the cliffside here. Yeah, something like that is what I envision. So again, just a case of lining up the edge of those frames with where we think we can get things snapped in. That's pretty spot on for me right there, isn't it? No, it's not. A little bit too short. That's fine. That's going to be great for me. You won't connect in there, but we will bring this down and hook into here. Do we need to do some bit of terrain work here? I don't want to be sloping down toward the road. I'd actually quite like the differentiation in height here to be quite exaggerated, so I think we will do that. Let's make sure that we bring this terraforming layer that the zoo is on right up against that road. And we can probably get some quite nice little rock retaining walls in there as well, come the detail in time-lapse. Something like that should do. A little bit of soften needed as well. Fabulous, there we go. Okay. So, I think we're going to enjoy that. Another big chunky enclosure in there, isn't there? So, see what else we got. Let's move into our insect, amphibian, and reptile house, which is the asset I think I want to sit here. It's either this one or the insect house, isn't it? But let's have a go at this one. So, yeah, see, especially it has zoo on the top of it as well, right? Looks much more like a zoo entrance than the actual zoo gate itself does. So, almost like a vanilla fuse in there, isn't it? Happy to have that there as the zoo. And how are our bus lines doing now, under? Yeah, there's a few little people getting off, isn't there? Have a look at the line. Okay, there's just some buses nearing capacity, which is quite surprising. It's nice, turning out to be a nice little exchange point down here, isn't it, at the Intercity Bus Plaza. 221 a week coming through this now. The people are taking Intercity buses and the other buses here to actually get to the zoo, which is absolutely perfect. Yeah, see people getting off this black bus line here, then waiting at the shuttle bus platform. That is quite cool. I just wonder, are you guys getting back on the highway? Oh, you are, aren't you? I guess that's the quickest way for you, isn't it, to be fair? At least they're using the bus slip system now. Very nice indeed. Anyway, always nice to see infrastructure start getting used, isn't it? Then we've unlocked one more before we need to wait for level 3, and this is the Tarzia house. This is the horrifically traumatized animal, isn't it? Yeah. So during our Thesia stream at the weekend, we actually put this down, and our mod Karina actually put this perfectly. It looks like he's been awake for 3 weeks, doesn't he? It's absolutely wired. He's blitzed. Where are we putting him? I guess up and around here. Around the back of the birdhouse actually might be quite a nice positioning for it. It's a pretty small enclosure, so I don't want it occupying like an enormous space. Let's go ahead and spin him round, and then we'll see if we can just squeeze it up next door. Somewhere like that. Keep this out of the way. Don't want it to scare the patrons of the zoo. There we go. Thank God his eyes are closed on the door thing, right? So, I mean, it's the colour of the eyes. This is like, what animal do you know that has lime green eyes? It's extremely traumatized, isn't it? Horrific scenes. But that does leave us at the entertainment level by a good value. Just waiting now for a ton of people to take over. I have also added off camera a couple of side gates here as well. I find the more gates you have, the quicker your visitor numbers go up, because there's more ways for them to be counted in. So that's pretty enjoyable. Also want to just adjust the pathways here as well into zoo path, I think. And we'll just line them up with the pedestrian crossings. Look. Something like that. Should help them cross a little bit easier, I think. And I'd love to actually do another bus line here, actually. How easy is it for them to get into Wingfour Hills from here? It's easy, they could just come down this road, couldn't they? Or we could bring up that bus that goes to Sharon out of here. This just goes to over this way, doesn't it? But there is actually another intercity bus station here. Okay, I think I'm happy to have the bus that comes out of Wingfour Hills come into the zoo on its way out. And he's actually getting back on the highway there, isn't he? We do not want him to do that. How many bus spaces do we have left at the interchange in Wingfour Hills? Oh, it is pretty busy around here though. I don't really want to get in any crazier. Screw it. We will do that line from Sharon, actually. So we will start a new line in Sharon at the intercity bus station. It can come up through here, stopping by Wingfour Hills if anyone wants to get off. Then come into the bus plaza, and then just mirror your route back into Sharon. Go converge with the trolley bus lines and the bus to Wingfour Hills here as well. But we will also give that one a bit of a renaming. We'll keep it as the... I guess it'd be pretty cool to have like an articulated bus going up there, wouldn't it? Carrying more people. But more people probably will come from Sharon as well. Imagine they're looking for any excuse to get out of there. We have Sharon to the to be named zoo. Fabulous. Hopefully we'll see some people take that route as well. Keep bringing more people up and up. But otherwise, just a case of waiting for level 3. So I will see you when we get there. And here we are at level 3, where we have the flamingos to bring in. So let's find a little spot for our little pink friends, shall we? How about we go for... There's another one with the paths already around it, isn't it? I'd love to have it in the middle here, but it looks like we're going to have to delete these frames first of all to actually accommodate it due to the relentless snapping it seems to be going through. Why don't we have it out there? Is that going to be okay? You can kind of see what I want to do with it. Reinstate the frames that we removed to accommodate it. Bring these back in as well. And, oh, that's really irritating. we can fix that though. Let's come out on an angle from this one first, and then come across. There we go. And then we'll actually repeat that measurement as well. What was that, 40? See if we can bring this one out as well. There we go. I think that's pretty cool actually. Happy with the flamingos are sitting there. And then we've also got the elephant enclosure as well. And we'll get this up here. What else do we have to put up this way? We've got giraffes, monkeys, and the rhinos to go yet, plus the lions if we get all of them in. Now we obviously won't be using the sea life enclosure in this particular one. Oh, but is that a fit and sit moment? Is that going to go right in there? I think it is, isn't it? Wonderful. Do we mind having the elephants on that side of the zoo? I don't think so. I think that's going to be okay, isn't it? It's got a nice flow to it. It's going to fill out a big chunk of space there as well. Also giving the elephants quite a nice view, although they can't really see from here though. Although it does kind of look like it wants a back pathway around this, you know? Just because of the way the building sits here, so I don't particularly like that aesthetic, so I think what we will do is actually knock this one up. We'll move our birdhouse in a second. Actually just lob it there for right now. And then I'd like a pathway to kind of, and we'll use this actually as the kind of edge of the zoo. So let's bring this all the way around. We're going to have to terraform this first of all, because we're playing on a cliffside here, so let's get a level terrain out, and we want to level out to the height of that elephant enclosure. And do more than we need, because we'll end up pushing that terrain back in to create the kind of cliffside border up against the pathway once it's in. Obviously we want a fence around the edge of it as well. So let's bring this around, let's actually go for road length too. And then we just want to wrap this up as best we can. I think we're going to be happy with that. I'm not massively bothered about having it connected in back this way either. So what we will do is just knock this one off. Connect back in there, clear that one off, and then we can bring the birdhouse essentially kind of 2 tiles over, right? Have that one back in there, up against the cliffside. Also to redraw the frame around it so we know that we're the exact road length required to hook into it. Same thing there. Bring this one up, and then cook it all in. There we go, it's just expanding our frames a little bit, allows us to fit them in a little more authentically. And And then we can run that elevated, well not elevated, it's just regular zoo fence, isn't it? Elevated zoo fence would be possibly the best thing I've ever seen in this game. Although, you know, I'd be happy there. Seriously? Seriously, that's where you're going to stop me? Well, that's fine. We will allow an info booth or something to sit in there. And then we'll just snap this zoo fence around the edge of the elephant enclosure. Create some sort of barrier at least, and then imagine a little bit of soften. Be quite welcome here. And just let that cliffside kind of fall back up to the edge of the fence is what I'm after. Cool. And then we'll bring that forest back around and should give us a nice edge to the zoo there, shouldn't it? Also factors in this bit of the asset into the park, which I think is pretty important for detailing these things, because there's a vast amount of park props available in the vanilla experience. Find it is kind of important for getting a lot of them. But that's not too bad there either, I don't think. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. That was it, wasn't it, I think? Yes, we don't get the last 4 until the final one. What's the last one we get? Lions and rhinos, and we'll get monkeys and giraffes at level 4. Cool. So I'd love to start having a little chat about what exactly is going to happen here with the terrain. So let's push ourselves out a little bit. I think there's an opportunity to respect a bit of geometry with maybe like a little semicircle design or something like that. So why don't we grab a little pathway here that's going to come straight across. We'll come onto road at an angle as well. I imagine this at some point will hook into an existing path network. So let's hook this up. So what are we playing with here? The distance of 200. So if we can go for 100 being the middle waypoint, then can we hit a road guideline here? So let's go for 140. Is that going to be 140 each side? Yeah, that's going to be pretty fine actually. Cool. We can have a little bit of a platform here on the edge of the cliff. I'd love to remove the forest. I definitely do want some forested cliffside here. But again, just remembering that, you know, we don't need to be totally reserved to our zoo assets, because I reckon a couple of nature reserve viewing decks along this way might serve out quite nicely for the zoo. Pretty cool view, I think, isn't it? Look out over Sharon and Karen's industry. See all that highway infrastructure over there. That's pretty sweet. And we've got, you just about see downtown from here, can't you? The mountains kind of blocking it there. It's a little bit out of the ways, but still pretty incredible views to take in as well, right? Still pretty nice over here. Absolutely love Bay of Rivers mountains. So nice, isn't it? Said I did a wonderful job with this map. Still fall in love with it every time I see it. Both tasty and delicious though. That should be, yeah, entertainment value is more than met. Just in case. Now waiting for another 2,500 people to come in. But the zoo's looking pretty cute. I'm actually a fan of it here. I like the way the enclosures are all stitched together. We've got a really cool front entrance starting to develop with these side gates as well. And lots of detailing to be had around here as well, isn't it, during our time lapse? But it's on its way. Oh, we did actually remove the tarpias, didn't we? Is that what they're called? I've already forgotten their name. Tarsiers, not tarpias. There we go. So we had you in around here, didn't we? Why don't we just pop you on the edge of the zoo again? Kind of out of the way so no one sees the lime green-eyed devil. God, did you see that? that twitch in the head as I called it that? That was terrifying, wasn't it? Right, anyway, I'll see you again at level 4. So whilst the zoo continues to take over, it's not too far away from level 4 now. I'd love to have a little explore of introducing this connection into the area. So we're going to do a little bit of sloping here. We're kind of heading down a gully. So we'll add a little bit of slopage. Forest brush this area out. Now I imagine this is probably going to be upgraded into a 2-way high-speed road at some point, because we're kind of moving into more country road vibes here. So let's start bringing it up. Let's also whack on our topography overlay as well, so we can see. And I guess we'll just sort of meander it up the more gentle of the contour lines if we can. Something like that should be okay, I think. Hope that's not too horrendous. Are the gradient police on their way? No, they're not. They're okay. They should be alright with that. And then I think we'll just hook this straight into the road, because we're going to be having some sort of farm villages out here as we move into our rural townscape, I guess. I also decided I want to keep this bit a little bit more urban. I definitely want to develop a bit more of a suburb around these hills over here if we can. But we'll do that at some point as well. There's lots of things to happen in this part of the map yet. And then little curve and hello people. Cool. So we'll see just how much pressure that takes off of the Wingfoot Hills interchange here. It's just a busy interchange. It's not like actual traffic. It's just a little bit busy. But the less pressure we can take off of this, the better. So hopefully the AI will prefer a little high-speed country road if anyone's travelling from this particular direction. We'll have to wait and see. But it's not looking too bad. Another building I'd also like to bring in as well, if we can explore the possibility together, would be... let's actually redraw this road here. And bring it up. If we can actually, we'll be able to. No, we're a little too tight there. That's okay though. And then actually have the part maintenance building here. Oh, there's the level 4 level up as well. Wonderful news. Yeah, to see if we can squeeze in the part maintenance building. So we have that there at the end of the car parks. And bring that road back up. We could probably even add a little secondary connection onto that national road there as well into the zoo. I don't think I'd be averse to that at all. Maybe some grass roads in here as well. And to be honest, I think all the roads around here actually should probably be with narrow sidewalks. That way it's going to force everyone to actually use the car parks rather than parking on the roads. Yes, please. There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Cool. And I think I'm a big fan of having the maintenance building here as well. It's a great fusing that onto the side of some vanilla car parking, isn't it? I think I'm going to be on board with that. And then we can just factor this into our little cliff end here as well if we need to. And there we go. There is that high-speed national road kicking in now. People snaking back down towards Wingfoot Hills there, rather than always having to go through the interchange again. Splendid. But that was a level 4 little jingle I heard, wasn't it? So let's have a little explore of what's going on now. We are now playing with the giraffes, which is a very similar shaped enclosure to the bison, isn't it? So I think in that case then, for just the sake of having a mirrored asset this side of what is becoming a bit of a centralized mall here, is that the giraffes would look good just on the opposite side of the mall from the bison. So if we can line them up to go into that pathway there, what are we at there? 40? Okay, so let's draw that out by 40 and then we'll try place it on that axis instead. Cool, I'm going to place it on there now and then redraw it back in. And hopefully that should give the zoo, especially if we just get rid of these trees here for a hot second. That should look pretty swish. Having those two elevated zoo numbers. You could also, I guess, switch it out for double bison if you wanted this little sort of veranda cover to be mirrored as well. Having these two little elevated networks here is going to be quite fun, isn't it? And then the other enclosure we unlocked was the monkeys, I think, wasn't it? And then that leaves us with just rhinos and lions to factor in. Which, as with every park, you know, I don't know if we want to use every asset, because we're not using the sea life enclosure over here either. And the monkey palace kind of centralises nicely in the middle there as well, doesn't it? I think that'd be almost too nice to refuse, wouldn't it? I'd like to see if we can do something fun with the pathways, and it would kind of work here, I guess. I'm trying to find a good spot where it would work. Maybe here. So if we have the pathway running through there, and then I also want one running through here as well, centralise up with these two enclosures, and then if we can, I'd love to have a little mini elevated zoo path that passes over the central mall reservation. And all these pathways here aren't fixed or holding anything, so I can simply just adapt them to bend to the whim of the new bridge. Let's bring this one up as well. That should give us some pretty cool things. You can probably, I imagine, spice this up with a couple of plazas, some zoo cafes, and other general eateries would probably go nicely around here. But I would love to have people use my little elevated zoo path, which is all going to play into this kind of centralised mall we got going on in the zoo, right? Turned out pretty nicely. To be honest, this wasn't in the design today. Just kind of how the landscape has lended itself to the zoo being developed. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm going to be pretty happy with that, you know. It's not too bad. But I think we probably head into a detailing time lapse now, can't we? Because really we just got to wait for 10,000. So much. Been sat here for like 3 years waiting for this zoo to bloody level up. So yeah, I think we'll get into detailing, and I don't think I'm going to include lions. We'll either have lions or rhinos here. One of the two will fill this final space, I think. But either way, we're going to move into some detailing. Going to get all these little path frames wrapped up now. And I think I'm probably actually going to come back through and just accentuate that terrain layer again. Obviously not like this, but just to show off the purpose of it, but just so those pathways become kind of obvious in the terrain. So there's a bit of a drop off down toward the road again. I think that'd be quite cool to have almost like a tiered zoo there, isn't it? It'd be pretty cool. By the way, lots of prop detailing in and around, trees around here, fencing to kind of bring the whole facility in, and a little bit of classic road network detailing required as well. But a really fun space for a zoo to occupy here, isn't it, on this little hillside? Definitely the most fleshed out park I think we've got in all of Orchid Bay, for sure, I think. I haven't really focused too much on park life in this city, you know? I've just kind of been ad hoc little parks like well, this isn't an ad hoc one, this is Slanesh's Slipper. It's enormous. That's a very prominent place within the city, doesn't it? Especially over here too. What a view that is, that currently no one is enjoying. How sad. But either way, we're getting distracted yet again. Time to detail up the zoo, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little detailing review. So lots of nice car parking up and out the front. It really kind of opens up the park, doesn't it? Especially with that amphibian house behind the main gate as well. Big improvement to the zoo entrance there. But some concrete surface painted down, some basic flower beds and repeated tree patterns. And the bus lines are actually doing really well. If we have a little grab one of these one. Lots of people coming back and to from Sharon to the zoo, which is really fun to see. And hopefully we will catch a minibus on its way up here. There you go, there's one of them. And these are really busy now as well. Not too full either, you know, there's only 16 people at the stop. So nice capacity demand, meeting on the buses, getting people back into the zoo up here. Got a little bit of zoning either side of the main entrance, just waiting for diners and stuff to come in. And then the park just occupies this space really nicely. Got lots more souvenir shops and cafes along here on the main entrance, repeated tree patterns in the zoo. A little bit of table detailing at the back of one of the cafes alongside an actual city park, like kind of kids park here, which is quite cool. Getting some use as well. Adults waiting for their children to finish seesawing. I'm sure they're having a wonderful time. And then a little elevated zoo path is getting some use as well now, which is very nice to see indeed. Always appreciate one of these, especially in a zoo as well, right where it belongs. And then we come through here into a little bit more playground detailing, using some of the benches from Nature Reserve to kind of create like a little balance walk for the kids as they have another little playground here. I managed to get both the rhinos and the lions into the zoo and also put some baobab trees around the lions to make them feel a little bit more at home. Hopefully it is working for them. Yeah, so these now just sit opposite the tarsiers and the elephants on this side of the zoo. Before we come around the side of it, back onto the giraffe enclosure, and I really love that we've integrated these elevated paths on the assets into the path network. Always love doing these. And then we've just got some nice tree and bush designs either side of the viewing platforms as people can now enjoy this really cute centralised mall strip through the middle of the park. I enjoyed some cute views over Orchid Bay's wonderful mountainous countryside and wonderful views to the motorway as well, of course. Civilization always ruins it, doesn't it? Yeah, and they just enjoy a nice little view as the park meanders back around this side. It's all been fenced off now. Got some rock formations in here, and I really love how the zoo, especially looking at it from like Wingfour Hills here, if you were on top of this apartment here, sort of sat on the table, you can really see the zoo from over here. Love the big buildings, kind of the central mall, and then all of those exhibits and enclosures either side of it, and the park maintenance building worked out really nicely as well. And a really nice build to sit atop the mountain here as we begin expanding Orchid Bay into the kind of rolling hills here by the rivers as we move a little more rurally. But a fun build either way. Thank you for constantly reminding me to do a zoo. I actually really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun to build. I kind of always forget how fun zoos are. And for a vanilla zoo, this one was certainly a lot of fun to build, so hopefully you managed to find some sort of inspiration from it. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. And I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. There's not too much more to say that already hasn't been said, and of course I will see you for some City Skylines 2 build up next Friday, of course, on the 8th of September. I can confirm now in the video, since that's been announced, that I am one of the creators that will be doing some content on Cities 2. Whether or not that's a live stream or a video yet, not entirely sure. We'll probably have a poll on the channel at some point, I imagine. I think because it's our first proper CS2 content, it's probably going to be a video. And then after that, we'll probably do some live streams up until release. But I haven't decided yet. But either way, please do enjoy today's cinematics of Orchid Bay, but I'll shut up and leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.